Hello there, fellow travelers. I'm Tim from Secret Fire Books, here with my monthly reading report, this time for the month of February 2025. February was kind of a slow reading month for me. I only read 3 books. I'm currently in the middle of reading a 4th, and I actually DNF'd a 5th. I'm not too happy about that. I hate DNFing books, but I actually watched a video by Steve Donahue recently, one of the many videos that he put out yesterday, talking about how you shouldn't feel bad about DNFing a book if you're really not enjoying it. And I thought it was kind of interesting that his criteria for when a book enters the DNF territory was kind of the same as mine. He said that, if you go 50 pages into a book and it's not really grabbing you, why bother continuing with it? And that's kind of how I've always approached books. Once I get 50 or 60 pages into a book and there's really not a lot of stuff happening that appeals to me, then it starts to enter the territory of, yeah, I'm probably going to put this down sometime soon. So I don't feel too bad after that. Steve, if you're watching, thanks for uploading that video. It made me feel a lot better about myself. But the first book that I picked up this month was Assignment Budapest by Edward S. Ahrens. This is the 5th book in his Sam Durrell assignment series. And I read I believe it's the 29th book in the series, Assignment White Raja, last year. And it ended up being one of my favorite books from that year. But I think I might have set myself up. I think I might have set my expectations a little too high for this book. Because Assignment Budapest is not a bad book. I think it's very well written, but I was not really enjoying myself with it. And I think the reason is, the best comparison I can give is that Assignment White Raja is like a Pierce Brosnan era James Bond movie, whereas Assignment Budapest is a Sean Connery era James Bond movie. Not to say that Sean Connery James Bond is bad. I love Sean Connery. But if you go into a Sean Connery movie expecting a Pierce Brosnan, you're going to get let down. And that's what happened to me. I went into this book expecting gun battles and explosions and adventures through treacherous jungles. And what I got was a very slow, methodical, very espionage-heavy spy novel. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But my expectations were not set accordingly. So from now on, I'm going to have to adjust the way I think about these. If I want more of a methodical, espionage-centric book, I'm going to go with one of the earlier assignment books. And if I want something a little more exploitative, a little more action-packed and ridiculous, I'll go with one of the later novels. Next, I picked up our most recent read from the Elusive Exclusive Book Society. That was The Big Guy by Wade Miller. This is a hard-boiled crime story about a small-time criminal's rise to power in the underground of the Sunset Strip, him gradually seizing power and becoming the big guy, the kingpin, the guy who runs the whole show. And I have some mixed feelings about this book. First of all, this is not really my genre. I'm not really into crime fiction, but we did have Duncan McCurdy and Jim from Mystery and Mayhem on that live stream, so they could kind of walk me through the intricacies of the genre. I'm glad they were on. They taught me a lot about this kind of thing. But I am still really mixed on this book. It starts off really interesting. It has a kind of tropey, cliched beginning, but it's very intriguing. And part of that has to do with the writing style. I don't remember the names of the two actual authors who comprise the pen name Wade Miller, but their writing style is very good. They have this very straightforward, succinct writing style, but they choose their words very carefully, and they paint a very vivid image with only a few words. And I thought that was really cool. But after the first 30 or 40 pages, this book kind of turns into this weird, messed up romance novel, I guess. You have the main character, Joe Drum, the big guy, falling in love with this woman, and we see her gradually softening him, leading from this position of power and authority into this lifestyle where he's basically just this schlubby business tycoon who just hangs out around his palatial estate, throwing drug parties and just getting it on with his masseuse and all of the women in his life. And apparently his wife doesn't even care about it. She's just totally open to that kind of thing. It was just this really weird kind of romance story, erotic romance story, I guess. and I didn't really understand where it was going until the last 5 pages of the book, where it hits you with this big old plot twist, and it just blew my mind. I did not see it coming. I don't know how I didn't see it coming, because looking back, it was right there in my face the whole time, and I feel like an idiot for not seeing this plot twist a mile away. But it was really well written, and so the story overall is pretty great because they set you up for this massive payoff. The problem is, for most of the book, I thought it was just really kind of boring. And I'll be honest, if I wasn't reading it for the Elusive Exclusive Book Society, I might not have finished it. But I'm glad I did. I don't know if I'll ever read it again, because at this point I know the big reveal at the end. But it was worth a read, so I am glad I read it. And I will definitely try to read some more crime fiction in the future. If I find more Wade Miller, I will definitely give them another shot, because like I said, the writing style was very, very cool. Next, I picked up one of my priority reads for this year, which was The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun by J.R.R. Tolkien. If you've not seen it already, I did do a full review on the channel, so please check that out if you have not already. This was a fun read. I will reiterate a point that I made in my review and say that this book is mostly supplementary material. It's mostly notes and commentaries on the mythology and the old Norse texts that inspired the poetry in this book. I segmented it off roughly. This section right here that you can see is, that's the introductions. Those are the two introductions, one by J.R.R. Tolkien, one by his son Christopher, the editor. And then this part right here, the main body of the book, that's about as much poetry as you get. It's not exact because they are separated by a couple notes, but that's about as much poetry as you get in this book. And then this is just the rest of the notes over here. So as you can see, this book is at least half supplementary material. And I ended up skimming through most of that and skipping over a whole lot of it, just so I could get to the good stuff, you know. The Dragon Slayers, the magic rings, the gods, the monsters, the battles, all that kind of stuff. I'm not too ashamed of skipping all that. Because, yeah, the poetry was really good, and I highly recommend this to anyone who likes poetry, anyone who likes epic fantasy, and appreciates a good bit of epic verse, I guess. And then I picked up the book that I ended up DNFing. Not too happy about that. I mean, I don't feel too bad, but I still feel a little bad, mainly because it is Paladin Unbound by Jeffrey Spate. This is a self-published fantasy novel. It is the first book of the Archives of Velium series. I always forget the name of the series. Archives of Velium. I believe it's a trilogy of novels. And yeah, I just didn't really gel with this book. It's set in this kind of typical high fantasy universe. The main character at the bottom there, Umra, is this... he's a half-orc, he's a mercenary, and he's also a former paladin. Paladins in this world have kind of died out. He's one of the last remaining paladins. And so he and his mercenary group embark on a journey to rescue these people from a dungeon. And that was kind of interesting, but it just really didn't grab me. I didn't really like any of the characters. I wasn't really invested in the world and what was happening. And I'm going to put this the nicest way I can. You can tell that this was Jeffrey Spate's first book. Yeah, that's the nicest way I can put that. So, yeah, just did not enjoy it. And so I got about 75 pages in, and I ended up putting it down. But, again, I'm not too broken up over giving up on it, because then I got to pick up the next book. And if you've been paying attention on my channel, you know what book I was going to read next. I've been wanting to reread this for a while now, and I plan to reread it and the rest of the series, the rest of the 22-book epic. This is Redwall by Brian Jakes.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
You guys, I cannot express just how much fun I am having with this book. I know the Redwall series is a kid's series. I know it's not written for adults. But oh my gosh, I am just, I'm back in, guys. I'm back in. As soon as I finished the first chapter of Redwall the other day, I was a kid again. It just took me right back to my childhood. I felt like 12-year-old Tim sitting in his squishy hand-me-down lazy boy in the corner of his bedroom, drinking some hot chocolate with a big stack of library books on the desk next to him. It's been so much fun. At the end of this massive 22 book challenge, I'm going to have to redo my top 10 favorite books of all time video, and I guarantee you there's going to be at least one of these Redwall books in that list, because I've forgotten just how much I love Brian Jake's writing style. It is amazing. It's simple, it's meant for kids, but the words he chooses, they're just so evocative, and he paints a picture really, really well. The characters in the story really draw you in, and you feel like this is a world that's really unique and special, and you can't get it anywhere except with Brian Jakes' books. I'm about halfway through it, as you can see from that bookmark, and every time I get to the next scene, my brain just keeps working, and the nostalgia keeps hitting me, and I keep thinking, oh my gosh, that's where they meet this character, or that's when this thing happens. And so it's all just coming back to me, and I'm just having a blast with this. And something else that I'm doing is, I believe that nowadays people call this immersive reading, but I have the book open, I have my eyes on the physical pages, but at the same time I'm listening to one of the audiobooks. And there were a couple different audiobooks on Spotify for me to choose from, and the one I picked is a fully voice acted, fully cast audio recording with the narrator, with Brian Jakes himself as the narrator. And so it's been really cool. There are some downsides to that audiobook, and I will talk about them when I do my inevitable Redwall review. But having Brian Jakes narrate the book, having him read his book to me, is a really cool experience. And I might just do that for the rest of the books in the series. But yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with this. I'm so glad I picked these books back up. I'm excited to read the other 21 books in the series. And so after I finish Redwall, I will immediately jump on book 2 in the Redwall series, Mossflower. And if I remember correctly, this one is a lot of fun as well. It's a prequel to Redwall, but it's a little darker from what I remember. And then after I finish that one, I am going to be reading the next book for the Elusive Exclusive Book Society. That is Ellis Peters' Morbid Taste for Bones. This is the first book of her Chronicles of Brother Cadville series, a medieval whodunit, as it's called. And so we're going to be reviewing this with Brian from Bad Taste Books, a good friend of Eve's. And we don't have the exact date set up yet. I'll definitely make an announcement when we do, but we're probably going to shoot for around mid to late March for that episode of Eve's. And funnily enough, my dad actually expressed interest in this book, and he actually wants to make an appearance on Eve's. So if you stay tuned for that episode, you can probably expect to see my dad in one form or in one way or another. But that's all for now, guys. That's all the books that I read in February. Those are the books that I'll be reading in the near future. Let me know in the comments. Have you read any of them? What do you think of them? And until next time, guys, as always, farewell and keep reading. Also, real quick, I wanted to plug the new issue of my e-zine, Necromancer, the genre fiction zine. It's now available for download on Kindle. It's only $5. That's less than your average cup of Starbucks coffee. So I'd really appreciate it if you gave that a download. And I promise you, unlike certain ebooks, Amazon will not remove this one from your account. I can't promise that, but it's like I said, it's only $5. It's not that much of a risk. You get 3 original stories, an editorial, and some book reviews by me. So please check it out. It's a lot of fun, and the link's in the description. Okay, that's all. See you guys. Bye.